Welcome to Harmony Talk, a podcast about dreamers and doers. Here, people from all walks of life tell us about their dreams and the moment they knew there was no turning back as they went from dreaming to doing. This podcast is sponsored by AM Skyer, a third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. My name is Greg Frigoletto, your host for this episode. For this episode of Harmony Talk, I am super excited to introduce Ashley Shaw. If you don't know who Ashley is and have not been introduced to her yet, remember years from now that you heard from Ashley first here on Harmony Talk, as it is likely that she will be a household name down the road. Ashley is a 15-year-old golf phenom, having already played in her first LPGA event. As you are about to discover, the phenom description does not just speak to Ashley's skill as a young golfer. It also speaks to her being a phenomenal person. We are thrilled to have Ashley with us today to share her story as it is just beginning to unfold. Ashley, welcome to Harmony Talk.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be on here.
We're excited, and I couldn't be happier to have you. And to begin, I'd want you to know and remind our listeners that this is a podcast that looks to inspire by sharing great stories, Ashley, like your story. And these are stories that demonstrate that dreams can become a reality. In other words, dreamers become doers. And if we start there, we all know, most of the people that we've interviewed prior to this episode, their version of going from dreaming to doing took a little bit longer than 15 years. So this story is a little bit unusual, but extraordinary. So if we look at your journey, we know that you've accomplished a lot at a young age, and we also know that there's a lot ahead of you. But if we could begin, maybe you could start by telling us, how did you get into golf? Where did that start for you?
So I got into the game of golf when I was 7 years old. My dad, actually, he played a lot when I was around that age, and he would often go out to the course and play with some of his friends. And one day he was driving home from, I think he might have been at Home Depot or something, and he was driving home and he passed a garage sale and he saw a little pink and black set of golf clubs. And he said, you know what? Why don't I get these for Ashley? I think it's something she would enjoy. And he brings them home. He gives me my first lesson. And ever since then, I have been swinging the golf club. Ever since, I have actually played pretty much every sport before the age of 8. And so I have been very athletic for pretty much my whole life. And I think I get that definitely from my parents because they're both athletes. And so I have always been in the sports, industry, and I have loved swinging a golf club. I also play tennis still currently, and I love them both, but specifically with golf, that's how I got started, and I have loved every second of it.
So you mentioned that you play tennis also, and you've always been an athlete, if you will. A lot of times when, say, young folks are very invested in a particular sport, sometimes then they walk away from the others. They really focus on just one. When you say you're still playing tennis, are you playing tennis casually? Are you playing it competitively? And do you have some intention of maybe fully dedicating yourself to golf?
The way I would think about my, attention to tennis is I never want to limit myself. I definitely do spend more time playing golf than I do playing tennis, but I definitely still, when I can, I like to go out and play competitively. I still go and I practice a lot. But I definitely do give more attention to golf. But could I see myself in the future being a professional tennis player and golfer? Absolutely.
That's exciting. And that's a part of your story that I can't wait to see unfold if that happens. And you'd mentioned, your dad's on his way home and he stops and sees golf clubs at a garage sale or a yard sale. How old were you at that time?
I was 7.
7 years old. So once you started, you said you really, for the most part, have played every day since. Did you love golf right out of the gate? And if so, what was it that drew you in?
I think what drew me into the game of golf was just that feeling of when you catch the ball perfectly. Because when you first start, it's kind of rough. You don't hit the ball every time. You're kind of missing it a couple times. But the moment when I hit that ball right in the center for the first time, that was it for me. I was just, okay, I'm sticking with this forever. So just that feeling when you do, and then that focus, the amount of focus it takes to hit the ball, that little white ball that's on the ground with the club that's this big trying to hit it. the effort and the amount of focus that takes, I love doing that.
So you sound like you were like most golfers in the beginning, including me, whereby when you went out and you first started, there was one shot, two shots, or maybe one hole that had you thinking, boy, I can do this, enough so that it encouraged you to keep going and keep trying. That actually is a great segue into the next question that I have for you. And it's really based on something that comes from the book Outliers, The Story of Success. This is a book by a guy named Malcolm Gladwell. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but either way, here's what he promotes. In this book, he talks about something called the 10,000 hour rule. And maybe you've heard of this. And basically what the 10,000 hour rule claims is that if you want to be really good at something, pick a skill, any skill, whether it's a sport or whether it's art, whether it's playing the guitar. In any of those cases, you would need to play for at least 10,000 hours to get to that high level. Now, over time, some have debated that there's more to it than just hours. It's also about having deliberate practice. In other words, personal instruction with a teacher or somebody who can assess you individually and help you determine what would be the next best step for you to actually develop and improve. So with that in mind, and kind of leading into this, you kind of already mentioned you love the challenge of golf. Where do you stand in regard to practice, knowing what is the difference between quantity and quality when it comes to practice? Can you tell me how you view that?
Absolutely. I love that question because it is definitely a big difference between quality and quantity. You can stand out on the range and hit 500 balls and not get any better. But you could do that same amount of 500 balls. Let's say that took you 2 hours, but you could have spent 30 minutes on a focused practice and gotten much better than you would have done hitting all those 500 golf balls. So that is something that is extremely important. And when I'm practicing, I make sure that I do that. And I kind of assess myself mid practice. Am I getting better or am I just standing here hitting? And so it's definitely very important to know the difference between quantity, I'm just sitting here just hitting, and quality, I'm actually getting better at what I'm working.
That's fascinating. And at this point in time, who is your coach?
I have the best coach in the world currently, and that would be my mother. She is my coach, and we work very well together, and I love having her as my teacher, my coach, my mom, everything.
She's the be all end all. Now, you had mentioned that your dad had played golf in the past. So as a coach, I would imagine your mom has some background in the sport?
No, she does not. I am the first golfer and kind of the main golfer in my family. And my mom, what she does have is she knows movement. She knows movement very well. She was a dancer. She was a cheerleader. So she knows movement extremely well. And she studies golf very intently. She is always looking up videos, watching a golf channel, learning as much as she can to help me to be the best golfer that I can be.
So when mom is watching you practice and she says, okay, Ashley, I think we need to do this, I would imagine you're very open to that sort of coaching, constructive criticism, and you take it well.
Yes, because it works fantastic because she knows me better than anybody else. She knows how to speak to me in a way that I can understand to do the thing properly.
Where I live, Ashley, there's a local golf course who, at one time, a guy by the name of Art Wall was actually a member. And I don't know if that name means anything to you, but Art Wall actually won the Masters. And it's reported that when golfers were playing on a day that Art Wall was at our little golf club practicing, they'd find him in a sand trap and they'd play 9 holes. And when they came back around, he was still in the sand trap. They'd play another 9 and he was still in the sand trap. That he would spend a day practicing a specific skill. So maybe the 10,000 hour rule applied to him as it does to you, but it sounds like both of you have this specificity with what your goals are each day when you go out there, kind of like an agenda or a blueprint of what your day of practice will look like.
Absolutely. That's very important.
I've also heard, aside from being your coach, your mom is also your caddy.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
I think those are probably our most fun moments out on the course is when she's caddying for me because, like I said before, she knows me better than anyone else. And so when we're out there, she knows what to say, what club to tell me to hit, when to let me, decide what club I'm going to hit without her, saying it. We work extremely well together. She's very supportive. My dad as well, he's always very supportive. All three of us are always out there together. And I just love being able to have that experience and to have that ability to have both of my parents out there supporting me each and every day.
Yeah, so I think truthfully, everything is about people, whether you're an athlete or you're a professional of any kind, and whether you're 15 or 50, to be successful in life or in golf, you need a support network. And your support network, truthfully, it seems to be that it's all about family. And I wonder, when you're at the end of a day, and maybe sometimes it's maybe not the greatest day, how do you navigate when it is family, knowing when sometimes there just needs to be a little distance between mom, coach, caddy, daughter? Do you find a way to balance all of that?
Absolutely. When we're on the golf course, that's coach, that's caddy, that's, all the things to help me to be a better golfer. But even when we are out on the course, she still knows how to be, just mom. And that's what makes it so much fun. If you ever see the two of us out on the course, it's not uncommon for you to see us just laughing and just enjoying our time together. And we could be working on, let's say, a 10 in a row putting drill, but one of us says something funny and then we're just laughing for the next 5 minutes and then we get back to what we're doing. So it's definitely a balance, but we kind of do it all at the same time. And I think that's what makes it so much fun.
That balance seems like it would be very healthy and helpful for the intense level of play that you're experiencing. So you're playing at what is a professional level, and you've done that already. And I would imagine that you have to have a mindset in that sort of environment whereby having mom next to you is helpful. So how do you, in that very high level environment, how do you keep that mindset where you have the ability to maybe have a laugh and not to lose perspective? Can you tell me about how you manage those high pressure situations?
The way I would manage those, high pressure situations, what I tend to do is stay present in the moment and kind of appreciate the moment that I'm in. I understand I have this 10-foot putt for par to win the whole tournament, but understanding that, okay, yes, I have this 10-foot putt for par, but why am I stressing over this? Let me actually realize, hold on, I have a 10-foot putt for the win. So I'm in contention to win. So understanding that, I had a tournament, I think it was 2 years ago. It was a match play event. And it came down to the last hole and we were tied. So me and the other person I was playing against were tied. And my mom was caddying for me. We get down to the last hole. I'm in the center of the fairway. The other person I'm playing against, I think she might have been on the right side of the fairway. And I have an 8-iron into the green. Other player, she hits her ball a little bit to the right. And I know if I get my ball close, at this point, I knew that I would win because I knew that she would concede the hole to me. And I look at my mom and I'm like, okay, so we got this shot. I'm kind of nervous a bit. So I'm kind of getting amped up. And she's kind of looking at me like, why are we nervous? I've practiced this moment. We've prepared for this moment. Why are we nervous for this? And I looked at her and I was like, man, what? You're right. Why am I being nervous? Why am I doing this? And then I ended up hitting the ball to about 3 feet from the pin. And then I ended up winning the hole, which ended me up winning the tournament. But it's situations like that. It was a high pressure situation, but she reminded me, we've prepared for this moment. We've practiced for this. There's no reason to even be stressed about it.
That is really important. And I think I need your mom at my side more often because she's giving you really good words of wisdom. And, there are athletes in the past, and I think a few of them that I'll mention here that whether it's Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods even. These are the types of people who they have a mindset where if it's the bottom of the ninth inning and there's bases loaded and a relief pitcher needs to come in, some relief pitchers can't wait to get in to be in that moment. Others would rather somebody else be in that moment. How do you find yourself in those moments? Does it come natural to you when that intensity of that competition is in that moment? Do you revel in it? Is it something that because of your mindset and the practice that you like the opportunity to have, or is it something different for you?
I get excited when it's those types of moments. It just kind of fires me up. And I think I actually play better in those moments. Just a few months ago, I was playing in a different match play event and it ended up going to 6 extra holes. It was the championship match. So We played our 18 holes and then we had to play 6 extra holes afterwards because we just kept tying every hole. I had never been in that situation before, but what kept happening was I'd make, let's say, a 20-foot birdie putt, and then she'd make her 15-foot birdie putt. Or she would, let's say she'd chip it in, and then I'd chip in right after her. So it was a constant battle, and I love those kinds of moments. It makes me really excited to be in those because it's like, okay, this is where all my hard work, all the practice I put in, it all comes down to this right here. And when I end up actually performing the way I want to perform, the way I see it in my head, it just makes the moment even greater.
Over the years, as I've watched different sports, I've seen professional athletes who might be super skilled, but somehow they don't rise up to the occasion. And then there's others who have enough skill, but who continuously win. And oftentimes they're referred to as just they're winners. Somehow they figure it out. And already I could tell that you're one of those types of athletes where you're going to figure it out because you seem to be so grounded and your mindset is so strong and your ability to kind of navigate through those situations is something that's really admirable. I have big hopes, Ashley.
Oh, thank you.
One of the things I'd like to spend a minute talking about is your kind of segue into the LPGA tour. You made your debut in the Cognizant Founders Cup in Montclair Country Club in New Jersey, and you earned your way into that event by winning the John Shippen Cognizant Cup. And for those that don't know, John Shippen is widely regarded as the first American-born golf professional as well as the first Black golf professional. So the John Shippen National Invitational, it's a series of events which aims to create opportunities and exposure in golf for Black men and women. And I know this means a lot to you. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you promote that?
Definitely. I heard about the John Shippen events about 2 years ago, and I got the opportunity to play in my first one. It was actually in Michigan at Blythefield Country Club, and that was an absolute fantastic experience to be able to play against other ladies who actually were professionals. They're professional ladies, and to see them out there and to be out there with other golfers that look like myself. And not only are they golfers, they're fantastic golfers. They can compete on the highest level. Some of them are actually on the LPGA tour. And just to have that opportunity to play against great golfers, great female golfers, and great golfers, females that also look like myself, it's not every day you get that opportunity. And John Shippen, through the events that they have done a fantastic job of giving that opportunity and experience to young women like myself. Even the Cognizant Cup, the John Shippen Cognizant Cup that was in New Jersey, I was the only amateur in that field. All of the other ladies were professionals. And to be given that opportunity to be chosen to play in that event, it definitely meant a lot to me and something I'm extremely grateful to be a part of.
Boy, I'll tell you, as you're talking through that, I want to congratulate you and thank you for making our young listeners who are athletes understand that the sport that they're playing, it's about much more than them as individuals. It's about other things. And you've just gone through things that are much more important than, no offense, Ashley Shaw. It's about other things. It's about the diversity that goes along with what you're promoting. It's about understanding that there's a much bigger picture. And I think that probably helps ground you because you do have an understanding of those things. And I think that's really, really incredible. Now, I know also at this point, I think I'm correct in this, that in the different events that you've played in, whereby you could have been awarded prize money, you've not accepted the prize money. And that has allowed you to maintain your amateur status, which implies to me that you have some plans on maybe what's next for you. Can you tell us what might be next for you and what your plans are?
So currently I am a sophomore in high school, so I definitely plan on graduating high school. I'm not 100% sure after high school if I want to go the college route or if I have the skill by the time I'm 18 to just turn professional. But I definitely will be going to college, but I'm not sure if I play for the team. But if I do play for a college team, I definitely want to kind of my dream school. That's a question I get asked a lot is what's my dream school? My dream school would be one that can help me to be a professional golfer. So one that has, the practice facilities, that has the staff, that has the conditions to help me to be the best golfer that I can be and ultimately be a winner on the professional circuit.
Having a growth mindset will take you very far. So that's a good criteria, in my opinion, for selecting where you go. And you talk about your dream school might be, and it would include those things. And I know we've talked about some pretty serious things here. Now we're going to dig a little bit deeper and get into some very serious questions, if that's okay with you. And I'm going to begin with, and this might be important for people that already know you and admire you to know these things. Favorite snack?
Oh, fruit snacks.
Fruit snacks.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite food? If you could have anything for dinner.
Pizza, for sure.
Now, plain pizza, does it matter? Could it have anything on it, or square pizza, round pizza?
So a Chicago deep dish pizza with pepperoni, Italian sausage, olives, and pineapple.
I know it's morning, but for those that are listening, it's morning when we're speaking, but I would eat that right now. That sounds just about perfect. Favorite movie or show?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, I'd probably say my favorite movie was Lion King. I really liked Lion King.
It's a great choice. Now, I don't know if you're a music person, but what's at the top of your playlist?
I have like 4 songs right now that I've kind of been playing on repeat that might be irritating my parents just a little bit because they keep hearing them all the time. I would say my favorite song right now would be Next to You by Jordan Sparks.
Excellent. Another great choice. Now, finally, for our audience, before we start to wrap things up here, and there are hopefully a lot of younger folks that would listen just to hear you, actually. And maybe we could do another quick little Q&A. And this is intended to provide words of wisdom, Ashley Shaw style, for our young listeners, and there's no pressure. What I'll do is I'll ask a question, and then I don't expect a very long answer, but maybe a brief answer to these questions. It's kind of like a quick round robin type thing. So I'll begin with this. How do you measure success?
I measure success based off of my goals that I have set for myself. So if I reach the goal that I have set for myself beforehand, then I had success in that thing.
Excellent. What steps did you take to build confidence at this point in your career?
I have no one else to thank except for my parents for my confidence. I have always been kind of a confident person, and they have taught me that since I was very little, to be confident in myself and what I'm doing.
Can you share a time when you felt unsure and how you overcame it successfully?
I really can't think of a time I felt unsure. I really can't. So
I love that confidence. It reminds me, I have 2 daughters, and both of them have already graduated from college. One of them is in a PhD program, actually at the University of Oregon. And I've talked to them about that type of confidence that you just exuded. And I've always said to them that when you're on your way to an exam, there is nothing better than knowing that you're ready, that you've done everything you can to be ready. And from this conversation, I could tell that's kind of how you live your life. You work hard to make sure that you're ready. And then when you go into those events, you have that confidence. And that's what you just demonstrated in your answer. So that's a great answer because it's honest. Now, listen, I want to thank you, Ashley, for sharing your journey thus far with us. You inspire with grace, humility, and wisdom. And on behalf of all of us at Harmony Talk, we look forward to seeing what comes next for you. And I have to tell you, it is with great confidence that we expect big things. So congratulations and thank you. Thank you for being here.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I've been talking with Ashley Shaw, golf phenom, daughter, sister, someone to look up to, and yes, a dreamer and doer. This has been Harmony Talk by A.M. Skyer, a third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. I'm Greg Frigoletto. Thank you to Ashley for being with us today. If you'd like to follow Ashley on her social media platforms like Instagram and others, you could find her at Ashley Shaw Golf. I would encourage you to check her out. To our listeners, continue to dream and keep doing.